Hey everybody, this is Shawn Poole from Letters to You, and I am very happy and honored to be here today online with the great David Sancious, E Street Band alumnus, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, and a fantastic musician, producer, arranger, collaborator in his own right. He's done so many great things, both in and out of the E Street Band over the years. And we're going to be talking with David briefly today about two of his most recent projects, which he'll tell you more about shortly. David, welcome.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me. Nice to see you again.
Absolutely. And what we're going to be talking about today are two projects, as I said. The first is a collaboration that's been kind of ongoing recently with Will Calhoun of Living Color. I know you
Yes,
did some tour dates last year.
we
Uh,
did. We did a tour in May. We had 8 cities. It was all in the
mhm,
Northeast,
right.
and it was went really well. We had a great turnout. Yeah. So
Yes.
it's from that tour.
And it was called the Open Secret Tour.
Hmm.
And right now, any interested fans, and we will give you all the information, of course, at letterstoyou.net for how to do this, but you can purchase a streaming video version of at least part of one of the nights you did at the Cutting Room in New York back in May.
You're right. Right. We're
And
calling that
it's,
Volume One because there's
yes,
going to be this is only 4 songs from that concert, but
hmm
there's much more to come.
that's
So,
great. That's really
yeah.
exciting. So, I think, and you, of course, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the first time that you've done like a keyboard drummer only collaboration live. Is that correct? Or
No, that is actually
okay,
actually not correct. Give me a moment.
sure.
That is not correct. The first time, this actually format that I've been working with Will now, and we decided to call it. It's its own name. It's not like David Sancious and Will Calhoun. That's us, but we're giving it a branding it the name of Open Secret. But this
Right,
format for me of playing with a percussionist, a drummer,
right.
that goes back all the way to like, oh God, early E Street Band days.
Oh, wow.
And that's sort of my foundation. I love working with drummers. For me,
Hmm.
if you don't have like a solid rhythmic foundation and it's not some really interesting drumming, there's a phrase. I think Sting told me this one time, or I don't know if he made it up, but someone told him. And the phrase is, "Your band only sounds as good as your drummer." If you think about it, I'm telling you, because that's the foundational thing. If that's not really happening, anything else on top of that alongside it could be quite good and everything, but it's not going to help it out.
Right.
So this starts with me and Ernest Carter, who was in the E Street Band as well with me for a while.
Hmm.
And Ernest and I used to get together and do that. If I was writing songs the entire time that I was working with Bruce, and before working with Bruce, that's I got started as I always wanted to do kind of what he wanted to do. So Bruce, in those days, he wanted to be a composer, a writer, a singer. He was not interested in doing covers of other people's music. Not very rare. It would be have to be
Right.
a classic, right? So my
Hmm.
whole thing was, yeah, well, I want to do the same thing. I want to work in different fields of different genres of music, not just rock and roll and not just classical, whatever. But Ernest Carter was the only drummer in the area good enough to sort of express the ideas I had. When
Hmm.
I started writing songs that were in odd meters like 5/4 and 9/8 and all that kind of sophisticated things that became part of the foundation of what they call jazz rock and all that kind of thing.
Right.
Well, the only drummer who could keep up with me and do it was Ernest. So we would get
Right.
together in my basement and just do all kinds of stuff. So as time went on, I just found that I actually had a duo with Ernest Carter in the 80s, and we ended up, after I moved to Woodstock, um, we ended up opening up for Jack DeJohnette, who had a quartet. And
Hmm.
we opened up for him at Colgate University. We played in a chapel. And that was the format. I had an acoustic piano, synthesizer, and drums and percussion. And we we improvised a lot of the show, but we also did actual kind of concrete songs that we had worked on, arrangements and everything.
Right.
And I did. I've done it all from time to time. And then Will and I did some things years ago, way before we called it anything. There's a great drummer named Joe Bonadio who plays on my album Eyes Wide Open.
Right.
And for a time, we did some things back in 2020. You can find it on the internet. We played at a theater up in, it was in North Jersey. I'm trying to think of where it was. But I particularly like that format because you can make it sound really good, and especially if I'm using a synthesizer, I have an entire library of sounds,
Hmm.
at my command. It's not just piano or keyboard sounds, there's a universe of it.
Hmm.
And what I've figured out how to do over the years is to sort of design a sound set for every song that I'm playing, for a piece of music or a style. And within that, assigning sounds across the keyboard and using pedals and different things, what you can come up with is frankly pretty amazing. Sometimes we sound like there's like five of us on stage, and it's just me and Will,
You do.
you
Yes.
know. And it's easily done. You just have to have a vision for doing that. But I find it a very flexible format too. I've had several duos like that. I've been in trios, and it's fun, And the more the merrier in a way. I think trios are can be really interesting. And I was always inspired in the beginning by the three-piece bands like Cream,
Hmm.
Jimi Hendrix Experience, the Who. It's just like guitar, bass, and drums, and somebody singing. It's
Right.
amazing what came out of all that kind of stuff. So I like that. And
Hmm.
quartets are nice. Basically, the more people in the ensemble, the more. It's not like the more your options are curtailed or anything like that, but the more people in the ensemble, sometimes it's not always true. Sometimes the less spontaneity can arrive. It can have a way. Now, there's plenty of examples where like that's not true. If you get into like deeper music, there's people
Hmm.
who can improvise together and amazing. But I find that the format of me and a drummer who can uh, not just keep up but inspire me, the way that they're interpreting, particularly Will's style of drumming is very inspirational. It's very natural. It's also very avant. It's very his way that he interprets rhythm is really interesting. But that is my favorite format at the moment, to just find a great drummer and do something. And Will and I, this is our second tour as Open Secret. We did one back before I moved to Hawaii. I think it was 20, let me tell the truth, 2018, something like that. 2019.
Hmm.
And again, it was very brief, Northeast only, but and we got that all recorded actually as well. But this time we were able to. I think we did more cities. We played in places we hadn't played, and we recorded everything. And it worked out that the New York City gig was at the best audio, the best kind of overall situation where you know we could come out. But also, it was one of the only ones where we had uninterrupted video. We did shoot some video at other shows, but we had some technical issues.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, so we weren't able to use all of the video from every show. But the New York show worked out really well.
It did indeed. Volume one has me looking forward to future volumes from that show and possibly others.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly, I'm glad that you and Will Calhoun have hit it off so well. And I
Oh
hope
yeah,
this project continues in different ways in the future. We'll see what happens.
yeah.
Um, Will, as you noted, the key thing is to have a good relationship with the drummer, and certainly that occurs on stage between you and Will. What what specific, I guess, qualities or attributes did appeal to you and made you decide to take this on with Will?
Well, I mean, one is his ability, just the sheer ability. Again, the way that he plays,
Hmm.
how good he is at what he's doing. And the other is, again, his originality. He has a very original way of um, of interpreting rhythm. It's fantastic.
Hmm.
Expressing rhythm, interpreting your piece of music. If you give him, here's a song that goes like this, and then it's sort of what he does with it is very, very, very special. Like
Right.
on, there's a song on my Eyes Wide Open album called "In the Middle of the Night," and
Mm.
I wrote that as it's a proper tune, and I'm singing on it and everything. And I wanted him. I wrote it with loops. I had loops inside the synthesizer that I chose and edited and everything. And it sounded good. And I said, man, I want you to play drums on this. But he goes, it sounds really good like it is. How about instead of replacing it with traditional drum kit, how about if I just play? He decided to play bass drum and cymbals.
Mm.
And the rhythm that he got on that song, it matches like or I matched his rhythm. But it's like the thing sounded really interesting rhythmically already. He was right. But the way that
Mm.
he did it without doing too much, he didn't play snare drum or no tom tom fills, bass drum and cymbal bells, the bells of two cymbals.
Right.
It's like he just lit a match under the whole situation. It's but he turned on the lights in this thing. And those kind of qualities. And again, he's very spontaneous. um, we get along great. We're like family. It's like, we're not
Hmm.
related by blood, but it's like we're cousins. We have
Right.
um, a lot of the same kind of family experiences in history and stuff like that. So it's a pleasure. It's great to travel with.
Right.
And every night is exciting and every night is different. That's the
Yes.
thing about this project. Every single night is different. Even if we're playing a song, quotation marks, there's a starting point and an ending point, but what comes in between, the structure is going to be different, which is really exciting.
Yes. The streaming video, volume one, opens with you kind of explaining how the night will go.
Right.
And you mentioned that the open secret title was inspired by a book by Tony Parsons.
Yeah.
I just recently started reading the book,
Oh, really?
and
Wow.
um, and I find it very interesting, of course, as you said I would. And you're right; it's a very accessible book. It's not long. Um, but, I'll admit that, I'm just diving into it and I have, at best, a rudimentary understanding of what
Mhm.
Mr. Parsons is writing about. But I feel, and you can, again, tell me if I'm on the right track here, but when I heard you speak of how you're going to be mixing improvisation along with, a song structure, it reminded me of the part of the book where he's talking about his walk in the park and
Yes.
how you basically kind of learn to embrace, not just accept what you aren't really controlling, but embrace that kind of level of risk or, the unknown. And I guess that being able to do that. And you mentioned that you and Will both, drew inspiration from the book. I would imagine that that helps greatly with something like improvisation, where you're just kind of accepting the moment and going with the flow, so to speak.
Yeah, I could say that.
Hmm.
Technically that would be true, but it's to a level where it's not sort of thought based. When
Hmm.
we're actually in the midst of all that, there's nothing else but that. We're not like analyzing it, or we're like, oh yeah, we're doing that now.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's so uh, in you, and such an integral part of your consciousness that any
Hmm.
sort of analytical thinking, that's like after. We could analyze it later and sort of talk about it and think about it and listen to it and go, wow, that's amazing, or wow, how did we do that together? There's so many
Right.
moments where it just happens. We just hook up at the
Hmm.
same moment without a discussion about, hey, when it gets to this point, I'm going to do
Right.
this. So why don't you join me? No, it's nothing like that. But it happens so wonderfully.
That's great.
Mhm.
And you also mentioned in the intro, we don't get to hear it in volume one, but I hope and imagine we'll hear it later on, that you did some material from Dance in the Age of Enlightenment, your quote, lost album. uh,
Mhm.
and E Street Band fans may not be familiar with this, but that was one of Patti Scialfa's
That's right.
earliest recording gigs.
Right, exactly. Patty was in the band for a while. It was
Right.
great. We did. She recorded with us. She's on that album, and we did a bunch of shows where Patty was the lead singer.
Wow.
Before Eddie Offord found Alex Lidgerwood and made that change. But we did a lot of shows around the shore with Patty as our singer.
Hmm.
We used to do one of her songs too that we recorded. It was called Goldenrod.
Mm.
Yeah, and part of the show, we used to like, okay, Patty would like this front the thing, and so we would announce it like, here's a song by Patty, and she would sing it and back her up. But yeah, and I didn't realize it. But you're telling me that now that was one of, if not her first recording experience,
Yeah, we
professional.
did in 2024. Her birthday's in July, so we did a feature that year, a birthday salute to her, and we called it Jazz Fusion on a Summer's Day.
Oh wow!
And we dug deep into her early recordings, which included with you, Narda, Michael Walden,
Right,
and she
that's
also
right.
did a track. I think Narda helped set it up because he was producing the album with Don Cherry. So
Uh huh.
we found some cool deep tracks from her early days.
What a cool idea that was to do that for Patty. And
Thank you.
yeah, yeah.
Well, do you have any idea yet when Volume 2 might be coming our way, or is that still in the works?
No, it's not in the works. It's actually, well, in the sense that we just have to sort of compile it, figure out which
Right.
because there's like another 8 songs or something, and
Hmm.
they're not short songs. Some of the shorter songs are on volume 1. Um, but I would say, depending on the response, maybe summertime.
Okay.
Summertime. Maybe I don't want to. You know what I really don't like about the internet, and it's this is whole sort of face in your phone culture and following everything. I hate to give dates and then have it not work out like that.
Sure.
So I don't want to say because I mean it's so commerce driven and getting people excited and everything, and then when it doesn't happen. But there will be a volume 2. There
Good.
absolutely will be, and I'll just say maybe before the end of next year, but I don't want to tie it down to like summer or fall.
Understood.
There will definitely will be a volume 2.
That's great. That's good to know.
Yeah.
So, the other interesting thing that just came out recently involving you collaborating with another musician is this version of the love theme from Nuovo Cinema Paradiso, the great film
Yeah.
scored by the
Yep,
late
by
great Ennio
Ennio
Morricone.
Morricone.
This version was put together by Italian bassist Antonio Lusi, aka Lucy Il Lupo, and he brought on board guitarist Walter Vincente, Jamie Wallum, the drummer with Tears for Fears, and yourself. How
Yeah.
did that come about?
That is such a thing. I said in my message, I have no idea. Out of the blue, completely. He's not someone that I was, excuse me, he's not someone that I was familiar with as a musician. And it turns out that he has been aware of me and a fan of what I've been doing musically since the 80s, because I did a
Mhm.
lot of work with the Italian artist Zucchero.
Okay.
If you're familiar with him,
I
Zucchero
am
with a
not,
child.
but I will check him out
Well,
now.
check him out. Go to, and it's spelled like means it's sugar in Italian.
Okay.
Zucchero. That's how you, what it is in Italian. The guy was, I think he's still in Italy quite large, but I started working with him back in the 80s through Michael Walden. Now,
Okay.
Narda was producing his album. He did a thing where he got a record contract, and Zucchero came from Italy to America because he only wanted to use American musicians. He wanted to
Mm.
use American musicians, and I think specifically some black American musicians. So Narada hooked all that up. And then he went back home. His first record was huge, big hit, big hit. He went on to become, he's sort of like the Joe Cocker of Italy.
Wow.
Okay. But he had tremendous success. I've got like about three, like gold, platinum records on the wall here from working with him in
Cool.
Italy. I toured a lot with him. So it ends up that Antonio was familiar with me through Zucco's music. And
Okay.
Zucchero had a lot of hit singles. There's one particular one called Così Celeste. And he used to like the device I use. It's called a breath controller, where I connect it to a synthesizer and I can get like horn sounds. I can get sounds of flutes or saxophones and different things, right? And
Hmm.
that song was a big hit in Italy. So as he's introducing himself to me, it ends up he's familiar with most everything I've done since Zucchero. He's familiar with the years I worked with Sting, the Sting records I'm on, the tours I did with him. He's familiar with the work I did with Peter Gabriel, all those records and all that kind of stuff.
That's
So
great.
got in contact. Yes, he got in contact through management, through John McCracken. We have a space on our website that will invite musicians in who have a piece of music and would want to work together. So that was it, and the fact that he was doing that particular piece of music was even more interesting because that's one of Morricone. First of all, is probably my favorite, modern composer.
Hmm.
He's passed away now some years ago,
Right.
but all the work he did in film is just fantastic.
Hmm.
So to get a call to be involved in that, it was great. And what he wanted me to do, he wanted me to use this device called a breath controller that you connect to an instrument that gives you these whole other things. It's very expressive, but he
Hmm.
specifically said he gave me all the freedom to sort of do what I wanted to do sound wise in terms of interpreting and playing the melody because it's a beautiful, gorgeous melody.
Hmm.
And that particular, they're all great, but the love theme is beautiful. And he said, please, total freedom to do what you feel is right to do for that, which was amazing. And he wanted me to do a piano solo in the middle, which I did. And I just had so much fun working on it. And it gave me plenty of time. He had a sort of window of time that he sort of needed the file back, and he was working on a whole release situation, which I
Hmm.
was able to do, thankfully. And he was so happy with the results. Um, so it just, I mean, everything. It's just one of those things, man, out of the blue, a big surprise. If there were about, let's say, another 2 dozen people out there in the world floating around like that who wanted to get in touch, and you had a really interesting piece of music, and if you'd like me to be involved in it, I'd be happy to help you out. But
Well,
those things are, it seems so far quite rare. I've only had about three things like that this year where people have contacted me uh, and wanted me to be involved in their new stuff. I did a record for a German jazz violinist named Michael Schmidt, and that was fun. One kind of long piece of music that was very interesting technically,
hmm.
and that worked out well. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, what the industry is like is not at all what it was like rather when I was coming up through the decades of doing stuff and working with people and doing recording sessions and touring and all that. It's quite a different scene.
Right. Well, I'm glad that this happened for sure. I mean, you can hear the results for yourself.
Mm,
Readers, we will inform you about it and give you links to hear it because, I mean, if you love Ennio Morricone, which many of us Springsteen fans do, I mean, we know that Bruce loves his work. He's often included it in the intro to Badlands, the
mm,
theme from Once Upon a Time in the West. He's even come
mm.
out in his Italian tours. He's often come out on stage to the music.
Fantastic.
And
Fantastic.
he once had the maestro at one of his shows, and it was just, we've done features on Ennio Morricone in the past, or I've done them for Batch Streets, and one of my close friends, Joe Amadei, he's a big Morricone fan, big film. He's in the film industry, so he knows and loves. Morricone's work, and it was just such a, as you said, it was a surprise for you, but it was just as much a pleasant surprise for us fans because suddenly I see online there's going to be this new Morricone
Oh,
version coming out with David Sancious on it, and we were just
wow.
our worlds collided in a good way,
That's great.
as they
That's
say, as fans of all that music, your
oh,
music as well as Morricone's music, and
thank
now
you.
we get to discover more from. His stage name, I guess, if you will, is Lucy Il Lupo. But you said he's um,
Antonio Lusi.
Antonio Lusi, okay.
Say his
Which I
stage
guess
name
is,
again?
I think it's Lucy Il Lupo, like,
Lucy the Wolf.
yeah, Lucy the Wolf, yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So,
He's a fantastic musician, brilliant bass player.
hmm
He's really deep.
yeah, it's a beautiful track, and of course, we'll feature that too.
Mm.
Well, again, I want to thank you so much for this time, David.
My pleasure, man.
And anytime you have anything else cooking that you want to share, we're always eager to help spread the word about it because we love what you do.
Yeah, yeah.
And
If you can direct the fans to that QR code for Open Secret Volume One, that'd be great.
definitely,
'Cause I'd really like as many people to hear it as possible because it's really a unique project. It's
it
truly unique.
is.
You know?
It is. And it's great that you're doing it, and it's great that it'll be the first of future volumes, we hope,
There you
whenever they
go.
may come along.
You got it.
All right, again, thanks again for this time, and we'll
Thank
keep
you.
in touch.
All right. God bless.
Take care. Bye bye.